The opening matches for the WWE Wrestlepalooza PLE as well as AEW's All Out pay-per-view have been revealed. Plus, we have the ratings for the special September to Remember edition of AEW Dynamite and Collision this past Wednesday. All this and more in this news update. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's begin with WWE Wrestlepalooza, the opening match for the first ever WWE PLE on ESPN has now been revealed. The card for WWE Wrestlepalooza this coming Saturday is among the most stacked that WWE has put together all year, and although many fans have questioned which marquee match will main event the show, Pat McAfee has revealed which contest will kick off the event. On Thursday's edition of the Pat McAfee Show, the color commentator announced that John Cena versus Brock Lesnar will be the opening match of Wrestlepalooza and the first bout to launch the ESPN WWE era. Now, the announcement comes as somewhat of a surprise after Joe Tessitore initially revealed on ESPN that Cena and Lesnar would headline the show. Additionally, many fans expected the match to close Wrestlepalooza simply with it being the Beast's first in-ring appearance since 2023. This Saturday will also mark the first time that Cena and Lesnar have competed in singles action since 2014, while being just the third WWE PLE of 2025 to not feature John Cena in the main event of the show. That said, WWE has several other options to choose from when selecting the main event of Wrestlepalooza, with two major championships set to take place. In addition to that, of course, it's the return to in-ring competition of AJ Lee for the first time in over a decade, as she teams with her husband CM Punk to take on another husband and wife duo, that being World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins and Women's Intercontinental Champion Becky Lynch. And before we get on to the next news story, a reminder, this video is brought to you in collaboration with all of our great affiliates. That includes NordVPN. You can see them right there in the sidebar. And speaking of Wrestlepalooza tomorrow, of course, as we mentioned, it's the first main roster WWE PLE to air on ESPN and not Peacock as part of WWE's new media rights deals. And I've seen a lot of people in the comments saying, I'm not sure if I can afford to switch to ESPN. That's going to cost me extra money. Maybe I'm not going to watch Wrestlepalooza. Well, you can watch all of your WWE content as part of your Netflix subscription. All you've got to do is get a VPN like NordVPN, and then you can change your location to international territories like here in the UK, where we watch all of our WWE content as part of a Netflix subscription. That's right, it's Raw, SmackDown, NXT, main roster PLEs, NXT PLEs, archive content, plus we watch every Saturday night's main event for free on YouTube here in the UK. So get yourself a VPN from NordVPN. You can use our link. You can scan that QR code. You can get up to 77% off plus 3 months extra if you're in the United States. You can click our link in the video description below. It'll be pinned in the comment section as well. And you can watch all of your WWE content on Netflix. A reminder, we are going to be doing a live watch-along and a post-show for Wrestlepalooza and AEW All Out tomorrow. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. Click the notification bell. You'll be notified when we go live. And if you get yourself NordVPN using our link, it also supports the channel in another way. Your support is really appreciated. Now, speaking of opening matches, we know what the opening match is going to be for Wrestlepalooza. We also know what it's going to be for AEW All Out as well. Christian Cage and Adam Copeland versus FTR will open AEW All Out on September 20th. AEW President and CEO Tony Khan confirmed the news during the AEW All Out media call yesterday. That match is now set. There was some concern that Dax Harwood wouldn't be able to participate after seemingly suffering an injury this past Wednesday on September to Remember. Harwood took to social media to confirm that he suffered a broken nose at AEW September to Remember. He said, quote, I had an x-ray today. To the shock of no one, I have a severely broken nose. Unfortunately for Christian and Copeland, I'll still be there. No way I'm missing out on this match. I'm going to embarrass you, he wrote. Now, the broken nose came as a result of Christian Cage smacking Dax in the nose with a microphone, leading to a brawl between FTR and Christian and Cope. Dax was seen bleeding after FTR was ran out of the ring by Christian and Cope as well. As I said, this match will now open AEW All Out tomorrow. Now, speaking of September to Remember, we have the ratings information for the special 3-hour edition of Dynamite and Collision. The first 2 hours of Wednesday's AEW September to Remember episode of Dynamite averaged 667,000 viewers on TBS. That's up over 14% from the previous week, and it's the largest audience for the show since August 13th. The third hour of the show, referenced as a 1 hour episode of Collision, averaged 535,000 viewers. When compared to last Saturday's 2 hour Collision, the number was up 127.7% and the highest mark for Collision since April 26th, when it followed an NBA playoff game. The first 2 hour block finished fourth on the primetime cable charts with a 0.14 rating in the 1849 demo. That's up over 7% from last week, and the best rating the show has done in that category since August 20th. The third hour finished sixth with a 0.12 rating, up 140% from last week, and the highest since May 29, which followed an NBA playoff game. As compared to the same week in 2024, Dynamite was down 2.9% in overall viewers and 36.4% in the 1849, while the 1 hour Collision was up 54.2% in overall viewers, but was even in the 1849. Of course, this year's numbers do not include viewers on HBO Max for either show, which of course it was streaming with a simulcast. Now, Tony Khan has also opened up on the decision to move AEW All Out to an earlier start time, with WWE announcing WWE Wrestlepalooza for September 20th and going head-to-head with AEW All Out. AEW made the decision to move All Out to the afternoon. Speaking on the AEW All Out media call, AEW President Tony Khan gave more insight into the decision to move the pay-per-view. He said, quote, "I am very excited for the opportunity to have this show this Saturday afternoon. I thought it was the best decision for our fans. We've had great success with the last few AEW pay-per-views with the early start time. Forbidden Door did very well, and we did some of our best numbers ever with All In, which set great business milestones for us. I think we can make it 3 great shows and 3 very successful shows in a row. I can already tell you this show is going to be a very successful business venture, and I think it's going to be a great wrestling show and keep this run of great pay-per-views going. I think it was the right decision for the fans to put the time here, and for us, being the pay-per-view business, to continue this great run of shows. Making these adjustments based on the wrestling landscape and based on our metrics, we thought it would be our best chance to deliver our best numbers while still delivering a great show to the fans. It worked well for us, and I think it will work well for us this Saturday afternoon," said Tony. Of course, AEW All Out will begin at 3 p.m. Eastern. Now, another conversation recently has been ticket prices in pro wrestling, and AEW President Tony Khan has revealed his mindset when it comes to AEW ticket prices. Going into AEW's All Out pay-per-view, company President Tony Khan hosted a media call. As the call went on, the topic of ticket prices came up. Khan was asked about the market of wrestling fans who feel priced out, and AEW possibly being a show that those fans could come to see for an affordable price. Khan stated that it was always ingrained in AEW to make their shows family-friendly when it comes to ticket pricing. Quotes, "Well, absolutely. AEW's ticket pricing is designed to be very family-friendly, and it has been this way since the very beginning. Everybody's been involved in AEW from the start will tell you that we always wanted to maintain affordable ticket prices for the fans, and particularly to bring families and young fans to the show and make it accessible for fans of all backgrounds, of all ages, and I think it's really exciting for us that we're getting some good feedback about that." Now, of course, the conversation about ticket pricing stems from TKO, WWE's parent company, Chief Operating Officer Mark Shapiro stating that he felt former WWE Chairman Vince McMahon was too focused on ticket pricing for families instead of capitalizing on how much money could be made from such events. Speaking of AEW, Will Ospreay, we have an update on his injury status. In late July, AEW star Will Ospreay revealed they had long been coping with 2 herniated discs in his neck. With doctors' approval, the aerial assassin still pushed through to perform once more at the Forbidden Door pay-per-view on August 24th. Nearly 1 month later, he finally underwent neck surgery. Quote, "The road will be long, but it'll be worth it to see you all again," Ospreay wrote on Instagram. Surgery was a success. Paired with the update was an image of Ospreay wearing a ring jacket that read, quote, "Attack for the next generation." Under the IG post, a number of Ospreay's wrestling peers wished him a speedy recovery, including AEW ring announcer Justin Roberts, Stardom's Bozilla, TNA's Myla Grace, and former TNA knockout Giselle Shaw. As of now, an exact timetable for Ospreay's return to AEW is unknown, though he is hoping to be back in the ring by AEW All In on August 30th, 2026. That pay-per-view will emanate from Ospreay's hometown of London, England. Ospreay wrestled at Forbidden Door and earned a lights-out steel cage match victory over Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, the Young Bucks, and Gabe Kidd. Afterward, however, Moxley and Castagnoli attacked Ospreay with a paradigm shift and steel chair-wrapped stomp to his neck. This scene served as Ospreay's final act before taking time off to undergo his surgery. Now, Joe Hendry seemingly is being phased out of TNA in preparation for a full-time WWE run. Joe Hendry has been a staple of WWE NXT for the last year or so, often doing little more than appearing from increasingly surprising locations. Now it appears the former TNA World Champion could be sticking around longer than the usual cameo. According to a report from John Alba in Sports Illustrated, Hendry is being phased out of TNA Wrestling as a full-time WWE run is incoming for the former champion. On a recent edition of WWE NXT, Hendry was approached by former NXT champion Bobby Roode, who said Hendry should focus on the NXT title instead of the TNA title. Hendry is set to start with WWE on a full-time basis at the beginning of 2026, despite being on NXT so much and even wrestling on European WWE live events. TNA president Carlos Silva confirmed that he's still under contract with TNA. Sports Illustrated was told Hendry is expected to be more on WWE programming than TNA moving forward. Hendry appeared in the 2025 Royal Rumble as TNA World Champion and also wrestled a match at WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas, where he was defeated by Randy Orton in an open challenge. A bit of an update here on Wade Barrett and his WWE status ahead of Wrestlepalooza this weekend. WWE broadcaster Wade Barrett has been absent from his duties on WWE programming recently. The NXT broadcaster Corey Graves has been on Raw and SmackDown, taking over Pat McAfee and Barrett respectively. Barrett recently said he'd taken time off from WWE, though he was vague about the nature of his hiatus. According to PW Insider, the former WWE Intercontinental Champion is in fact away from WWE on his own request. There is no word on how long, other than Barrett will be gone for several weeks, but he is listed on the commentary team for the upcoming Wrestlepalooza PLE. The announcement that Graves would be replacing Barrett for the foreseeable future was made on the September 8th Raw, where Graves joined Raw announcer Joe Tessitore. Barrett had recently made comments about Nikki Bella following Bella's unsuccessful challenge for the Women's Intercontinental Championship against Becky Lynch at Clash in Paris. Barrett suggested that wrestling had moved on from stars like Nikki Bella in comments that some found disparaging. Barrett's absence had many wondering if it had anything to do with the comments. The news of his being on personal leave suggests that, of course, that is not the case. Now, Barrett's replacement, Graves, had initially been demoted to NXT, but Barrett's leave, as well as the hiatus of Pat McAfee, led to Graves being called up to the two-man main roster shows. McAfee was beginning to experience burnout after traveling for Raw PLEs and as well as his duties at ESPN and his own Pat McAfee show. There had been rumors that McAfee could be back this weekend for Wrestlepalooza on ESPN, but of course we'll have to wait and see. Now, new developments in the Raja Jackson saga involving him attacking Psycho Stu inside of a pro wrestling ring. Raja Jackson has been arrested and booked on a felony charge for his role in an incident with Psycho Stu at Knox Pro Wrestling in August. The exact charge was not listed. At the event, Raja legitimately knocked out independent wrestler Psycho Stu at the Knox Experience in a planned spot that went too far. Raja entered the ring, slamming Stu and knocking him out before delivering over 20 legitimate strikes to the head. According to TMZ, records show he's still currently behind bars and is being held on a $50,000 bond. Stu suffered a number of injuries in the incident, including a fractured maxilla bone. He has since been released from the hospital and is recovering. The incident was streamed on Raja's Kick page. Prior to the incident, Stu confronted Raja outside the venue and smashed a beer can over his head. Stu appeared to think they were working and was shocked that Raja didn't sell the beer can shot. After speaking with the Knox Pro promoter, the two parties later shook hands and appeared to have reached an understanding. After the in-ring run-in was agreed to, AJ Mana was seen telling Raja to give Stu a receipt and tag his shit, and that if anyone had a problem with it, he would run out to the ring. He did not run out to the ring during the incident. Of course, if we get any more details on this, we'll let you know in a future video. Let's go over to last night's TNA Impact, and we saw an NXT superstar appear. Ridge Holland made a surprise appearance on TNA Impact, attacking Mike Santana. After defeating AJZ, Santana called out TNA champion Trick Williams, looking for revenge from Trick's attack last Thursday. Santana said that at Bound for Glory, Trick's ass belongs to him. Instead of getting Trick, Santana was blindsided by Ridge. Ridge delivered a series of strikes and headbutts on Santana before laying him out with an elevated DDT. Ridge is signed to WWE, where he appears on the Evolve brand. He has been on the main roster and on NXT in the past. Santana is set to challenge for the TNA World Championship at Bound for Glory. The TNA title, though, will be on the line on the September 23rd episode of NXT, when Trick faces NXT champion Obafemi in a champion versus champion match. Speaking of TNA champions, we saw a former one return last night on TNA Impact. Mr. Anderson made his return to TNA Wrestling on the September 18th episode of TNA Impact. Anderson made a surprise appearance during the King's speech with Frankie Kazarian. Kazarian drew the ire of Anderson by bringing up Steve Maclin's military past, noting that Anderson also served the military. Kazarian called Maclin a coward and wondered if Anderson was also a coward. Kazarian continued to provoke Anderson before Anderson grabbed Kazarian by the face. Before he could get his licks in, Jake Something attacked Anderson from behind. Maclin made the save for the former TNA World Champion. Now, Anderson last competed in TNA Wrestling in 2016. He's a former two-time TNA World Heavyweight Champion. He remains active on the independent scene. Now, speaking of Kazarian and Maclin, a match for TNA Victory Road has been confirmed between the two. Steve Maclin will put the TNA International title on the line against Frankie Kazarian at TNA Victory Road. The bout was confirmed on the September 18th episode of TNA Impact. Victory Road is scheduled for September 26th. A match has also been confirmed for the upcoming Bound for Glory pay-per-view. Order 4 and the System will look to settle things in a hardcore war at TNA Bound for Glory. TNA Wrestling announced the System, that being Moose, Alicia Edwards, Eddie Edwards, Brian Myers, and JDC, will battle Order 4, that being Mustafa Ali, Tasha Steelz, Agent Zero, and the Great Hands, that being Jason Hotch and John Schuyler, in a hardcore war at Bound for Glory on October 12th. The bout was confirmed last night on TNA Impact. Now, so many people are still talking about WrestleMania 43 heading to Saudi Arabia in 2027. Now, it is official that in 2027, WWE WrestleMania 43 will be taking place in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. The idea then circulated on social media that it could be an opportunity for All Elite Wrestling to present a big event in the spring of 2027. That was brought up to AEW President Tony Khan on the pre-AEW All Out Media call. Khan promised that AEW will run a, quote, huge event in the spring of that year. He specifically mentioned Revolution. He said, quote, I have a lot of interest in it, and I can promise we're going to run a huge event in the spring of 2027. I think spring 2027 is going to be a great time for AEW. We're still going to be in the peak of this massive media deal that we've done with Warner Brothers Discovery. We're going to be delivering great shows. There's going to be a huge pay-per-view for sure. And one pay-per-view, I can tell you, is going to be huge in the spring of 2027. That has done huge things for us in AEW. And I think some really historic things in pro wrestling is AEW Revolution. We'll have a huge revolution. People ask about the spring of 2027. I can promise we'll have a huge AEW revolution and a lot of big plans for then, and obviously very focused right now on 2025. That's looking very far ahead, but there's definitely some potential for us to do some big things in the spring of 2027. Of course, if we get any more details on what that could look like, we'll let you know in a future video. Kiera Hogan seemingly is gone from All Elite Wrestling. Kiera Hogan has been removed from the AEW roster page on the official AEW website. Fightful later confirmed that Kiera had departed All Elite Wrestling. She hadn't wrestled on AEW/Ring of Honor programming since April of 2024. And finally, it looks like one more match could potentially be added to Wrestlepalooza tomorrow, but it depends on a variety of different factors. Now, as of right now, there are 5 matches on the Wrestlepalooza card, but a 6th has been at least discussed. Fightful Select's Sean Ross Sapp was told by WWE sources that a WWE Women's title match had been considered for the Wrestlepalooza slate. As things were pitched, it would be Tiffany Stratton versus Nia Jax versus Jade Cargill for the title. The three worked together on the European tour in triple threat matches. In addition, Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill have a number of matches over the last couple of months. And of course, last week there was a draw involving their match and Nia Jax came out afterwards. The match was discussed online heavily on September 18th when merchandise emerged featuring the match. Now, Fightful are told that any possibility around it is dependent on Stratton being cleared, something that WrestleVotes also noted on social media. Nia Jax was doing media yesterday to promote the upcoming SmackDown in Cincinnati, so of course we'll find out more, I guess, about that in the next 24 hours. Tiffany Stratton, of course, was removed from a match on NXT Homecoming this week because she wasn't medically cleared. It's seemingly a race against time for tomorrow. But there you go, guys. Latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right-hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.